Okay, picture this. You eat a really nice, healthy dinner. You know, a big crisp salad, maybe some steamed veggies, and you go to bed feeling pretty proud of yourself. But what if that very meal, the one you thought was so good for you, could be quietly setting the stage for a stroke overnight? It's a shocking idea, and it's what we're digging into today. So that's a direct quote from the doctor whose work is the basis for this explainer. And look, this comes from their own clinical experience with older patients, so it's a really fascinating perspective. The idea is just startling, isn't it? That these foods we've always been told are great for our hearts could, in just the right or wrong circumstances, actually be a risk. It's not that the vegetables are suddenly villains, but that something else is going on inside our bodies. And that really is the million-dollar question, right? How can something that was so good for you at 40 suddenly become a problem at 70? Well, the answer isn't about being scared of your salad. It's about understanding how your body, your amazing body, changes over time. So let's get into the why behind all this. What our source material makes really clear is that the vegetables haven't changed. We have. It's all about the context of your own body. And that's a theme you're going to hear over and over again today. This slide right here, this is the absolute foundation for everything we're about to talk about. As we get older, our kidneys might not filter things out as fast as they used to, our blood vessels can get a little less flexible, and, a lot of us are on common medications for things like blood pressure. It's this whole new internal landscape that completely changes the game for how certain foods get processed. So, keeping all that in mind, our source has identified 9 specific vegetables we should be a little more mindful of, especially in the evening. We're going to count them down, starting right now with number 9. First up, at number 9 is spinach. I mean, it's the classic superfood, but our source points to these things called oxalates. Now, if your kidneys are working a bit slower, these oxalates can team up with calcium and form tiny, sharp crystals. The concern is that these could, over time, start to narrow those small arteries. So the key takeaway isn't stop eating spinach, no way. It's just maybe don't have a huge spinach salad right before bed. Have it earlier in the day so your body has plenty of time to deal with it. All right, coming in at number 8 is broccoli. Now, the issue here has nothing to do with the broccoli itself and everything to do with how it plays with certain medications. See, broccoli is loaded with vitamin K, which is fantastic for helping your blood clot. But if you're on a blood thinner like warfarin, you need that clotting factor to be really stable. The source warns that if you eat a ton of broccoli one week and then none the next, you could be throwing that delicate balance way off. So for this one, consistency is everything. And at number 7, romaine lettuce. It's the go-to base for so many of those light evening salads, right? But here's the thing. Our source explains it's a natural diuretic. That means it makes you get rid of water. During the day, no big deal. You just drink more. But at night, when you're asleep for hours without drinking, it can actually lead to dehydration. And when you're dehydrated, your blood gets thicker. It's a real problem for circulation. So again, it's all about timing. Okay, let's keep this countdown rolling. We're moving into the next set of 3. And believe me, these are some of the most common vegetables you'll find in any kitchen. Number 6 is raw carrots. If you just munch on them by themselves, especially late at night, those natural sugars can hit your system really fast. According to the source, for an older body with a slower metabolism, that can cause a blood sugar spike, which is then followed by a crash while you're sleeping. That crash can actually trigger stress hormones that make blood vessels tighten up. The fix? So simple. Just pair your carrots with a little protein or fat, like some hummus or a few nuts. That'll slow the whole process right down. Number 5 is garlic, which we all think of as nature's little miracle worker. And this is a perfect example of our main theme today. A huge benefit can actually become a risk in the wrong context. Garlic is a natural blood thinner. If you're also taking a prescription blood thinner, you could be doubling up on that effect without even knowing it, making your blood too thin. The advice here is to stick with cooked garlic in your food, not the super concentrated raw stuff or supplements. And right next to garlic is its cousin, the onion. It's a similar story. Onions have this really powerful compound called quercetin, which is great because it naturally helps lower blood pressure. But, you see where this is going, if you're already on blood pressure meds, eating a whole bunch of raw onion could crank that effect up to 11, causing your pressure to drop too low and making you feel dizzy or faint. All right, we've made it to the top 3. According to our source, these are the heavy hitters, some of the most common foods that could pose a risk if you're over 60 and not thinking about the context. So, what's hiding behind door number 3? Well, it's something we usually think of as a classic comfort food. It's corn. The big argument here from our source is that your body doesn't really see corn as a green vegetable. It treats it much more like a starch, like bread or potatoes. And that means it can cause a really fast spike in your blood sugar. That kind of sugar roller coaster, especially at night when you're not moving around, can put a real strain on your whole circulatory system. Okay, let's move on to number 2. This one is often on the menu at fancy restaurants as a healthy, elegant side. And it's asparagus. Hey, remember what we said about romaine lettuce being a diuretic? Well, our source calls asparagus a diuretic on a whole other level. It's way more powerful. If you eat it late at night, it can flush a lot of water out of your system. This leads to that exact same problem: overnight dehydration, thicker blood, and more strain on your heart and vessels while you're trying to rest. And here we are, the number 1 vegetable on this cautionary list. I gotta tell you, this one is probably the biggest surprise of all, because for most of us, it's the absolute symbol of a healthy diet. Tomatoes. I know, right? Tomatoes. Okay, here's the reasoning from our source. Tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, and they have compounds like solanine and histamines. For some people, especially as they get older and more sensitive, these specific compounds can be like a trigger for inflammation or can cause blood vessels to tighten up unpredictably. Now, this doesn't mean you have to banish tomatoes forever. The source suggests cooking them, which helps break down these compounds and, you guessed it, enjoying them earlier in the day. Okay, wow. After hearing that whole list, it would be really easy to feel a little paranoid about your next meal. But the whole point of this, and of the source material, is not to make you afraid of food. It's to help you shift from a mindset of what can't I eat to one of smart, empowered awareness. It really all boils down to these 3 simple tools. First, master your timing. Eat those diuretic or sugary veggies earlier in the day. Second, find your balance. Know how foods might interact with any medications you're on, and don't go overboard on any single thing. And third, just stay aware. Pay attention to how your body feels and make sure you're staying hydrated. That's it. And I think this quote just wraps it all up perfectly. Understanding how your body, right now, works with these foods, that's power. That gives you the freedom to keep enjoying everything you love, just in a way that truly supports your health for the long run. So the big takeaway here isn't that these vegetables are bad. It's that our bodies change, and maybe our eating strategies need to change a little bit right along with them. It's all about that timing, balance, and awareness. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Which one of these vegetables on the list was the biggest shocker for you?